As we get older, we realize that our time, energy, and peace of mind are more precious than ever. But here's the truth. Not everyone around you is worthy of your time and attention. There are certain people whose presence, no matter how free you feel, can actually drain you and hold you back. It's important to recognize when a relationship is no longer serving you, and sometimes that means stepping away. In this video, we'll discuss the 4 types of people you should avoid, especially as you age. These are the people who intentionally or not undermine your confidence, waste your time, and steal your peace. Stay tuned, because knowing who to stay away from can be the key to protecting your energy and living the fulfilling, stress-free life you deserve. You deserve relationships that uplift you, not drag you down. Let's dive into who you need to let go of for good. Number 1, avoid people who constantly drain your emotional energy. When you get older, your time, your energy, and your peace of mind become your most valuable resources. You've lived long enough to know that not everyone deserves access to your life. That includes your home, your heart, and yes, your presence. You might feel free, you might feel independent, but even then, there are certain people you should stop visiting altogether. One of the most important, the ones who constantly drain your emotional energy. You know the type. You walk into their space, and within 10 minutes your mood shifts. You were calm before, now you're tense. You were hopeful, now you're annoyed, or even sad. They always seem to have a crisis. They always seem to need something, and somehow your presence turns into their emotional dumping ground. They rarely ask how you're doing, and if they do, it's only to circle the conversation back to themselves. You walk out feeling heavier than when you arrived. This kind of emotional weight builds up over time. It chips away at your mental sharpness. It dulls your sense of motivation. It makes you second-guess your own happiness. And when you're older, you don't need that. You don't have the same emotional reserves to keep absorbing other people's drama, guilt, or negativity. This isn't selfishness, it's self-preservation. There are people who give you energy. They lift your spirits. After a visit, you feel lighter, more understood, more alive. That's what connection is supposed to feel like. But emotional vampires, they do the opposite. They make you feel like you're always on edge, like you have to manage their feelings so they don't explode or spiral. That kind of emotional babysitting is exhausting, and it's not your job. When your body is aging and your mind needs clarity, the last thing you need is to waste your mental energy on people who won't do the work to take care of themselves. You've probably spent decades showing up for people, being the one others leaned on. But now is the time to be intentional with where you go and who you spend your time with. Emotional well-being is just as important as physical health, and you can't have emotional well-being if you're constantly exposing yourself to people who wear you down. That stress doesn't just stay in your head, it affects your sleep. It increases inflammation, it weakens your immune system. Over time, it contributes to anxiety, fatigue, and even memory problems. You think you're just being polite, just visiting someone out of habit or guilt, but the cost is way higher than you realize. Think about how many times you've said yes to a visit when your gut told you no. Think about how often you've convinced yourself to be nice at the expense of your own peace. You don't need permission to say no. You've earned the right to protect your energy. You don't owe anyone a visit if it costs you your emotional stability. You are allowed to stop going to places where you are constantly drained. You are allowed to make your peace a priority. That's not being cold, it's being wise. You've seen enough in life to know that people rarely change unless they want to. And if someone still chooses to stay stuck in their misery, and they pull you into it every time you step into their home, it's not your responsibility to fix them. You can still care about people from a distance. You can still wish them well and set boundaries at the same time. You don't have to show up physically just to prove you care. And you shouldn't feel guilty for protecting your health, mental, emotional, or physical. Because the truth is, every moment you spend recovering from their energy is time taken from your own well-being. Think of all the good things you could do with that energy instead. You could go for a walk, call someone who uplifts you, try a new hobby, volunteer, or simply sit in silence and enjoy your own company. All of that contributes to your longevity, your independence, and your joy. But none of it can happen if you keep handing your energy over to people who don't appreciate it. Start paying close attention to how you feel after every visit. Do you feel calm or anxious? Do you feel appreciated or invisible? Do you feel safe or judged? Your body and your mind are always giving you signals. Start listening. Those feelings are trying to protect you. This is your life, your time, your health. You don't have to keep showing up in places that leave you feeling worse. You're not the same person you were 20 or 30 years ago. You've grown, you've learned, you've been through enough. So give yourself the respect you deserve. Protect your space from emotional drainers. If their home always feels heavy, chaotic, or full of complaints, stop walking through that door. It's not cruel. It's necessary. At this point in life, peace isn't a luxury. It's your medicine. And you get to choose who helps you heal and who holds you back. When someone keeps draining your emotional energy, you owe it to yourself to step back. Love them from afar. Hope the best for them. But don't keep sacrificing your own peace just to keep the peace. That's a one-way ticket to burnout. The more you protect your energy, the sharper your mind stays, the healthier your body becomes, the more joy you find in your days. This isn't about cutting people off just to feel powerful. It's about being intentional with your time, your presence, and your energy. So the next time you think about visiting someone who leaves you feeling emotionally exhausted, pause and ask yourself, what is this costing me? And is it really worth it? Your emotional energy is sacred. Protect it like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Number 2, stay away from those who disrespect your boundaries. They're essential for your health, peace, and identity. And when someone regularly disrespects those boundaries, you need to stop visiting their space, no matter how close they are or how free your time seems. With age comes clarity. You begin to see how certain patterns have drained you for years, and one of the biggest reasons people stay emotionally stuck is because they keep allowing others to step all over their limits. Boundaries are not about being rigid or cold. They're about respect. They say, this is what I accept. This is what I don't. This is how I want to be spoken to. This is how I deserve to be treated. They help you protect your energy, manage your stress, and live on your terms. But the truth is, not everyone in your life will honor them. And when someone doesn't, no matter how long you've known them, that's a red flag you can't ignore. You may have people in your life who push past your comfort zone without a second thought. They comment on your decisions, make jokes at your expense, show up uninvited, or speak in ways that hurt you, and then laugh it off. Maybe they pressure you into doing things you've clearly said no to, or they keep digging into personal areas you've asked them to leave alone. The problem isn't always what they do, it's that they ignore what you've asked them not to do. That's where the damage happens. Every time you step into their home and allow that behavior to continue, you're sending a quiet message that your limits don't matter, that your needs come second. And over time, this does something to you. It chips away at your confidence. It builds resentment. It teaches your nervous system to stay in defense mode, waiting for the next time your voice will be ignored. That tension, it gets stored in your body. It disrupts your peace, your sleep, your focus. It even shortens your patience with the people who actually do care about you. At a certain age, peace is no longer negotiable. You've been through enough to know how precious it is, and you owe it to yourself to stop going places where you have to shrink just to keep the peace. Some people treat boundaries like a challenge. They think rules don't apply to them. They'll guilt trip you, tease you, or say you're too sensitive. But your boundary is not up for debate. You've earned the right to say no. You don't have to keep explaining yourself to people who don't want to listen. When you walk into someone's home and immediately feel that your voice will be ignored or that your space will be violated, that's not safety, that's stress. And stress builds quietly. It wears you down in small ways that add up. It drains your mental sharpness, affects your memory, messes with your blood pressure, and throws off your emotional balance. That's the cost of letting your boundaries be crossed too often. You deserve relationships that make you feel safe, conversations where you're heard, spaces where your no is respected without a guilt trip. But those relationships start with you. You have to stop entertaining the ones that make you feel small or powerless. You may think you're being strong by tolerating it, But real strength is walking away from people who can't handle your truth. Sometimes the hardest people to set boundaries with are family or old friends. The history is there, the habits are strong, but the question is, are you willing to keep sacrificing your peace just to keep someone comfortable in their bad behavior? You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your life just because of shared blood or memories. You can love people and still say, "This doesn't work for me anymore." You've likely spent years pouring into others, saying yes when you wanted to say no, biting your tongue, dismissing your own discomfort. But this chapter of your life is not about tolerating disrespect. It's about reclaiming your time and your worth. Boundaries are a way of saying, "I care about myself enough to protect my peace." You'll find that the people who truly respect you won't be offended by your boundaries. They'll adjust, they'll listen, they'll make space for your needs. But the ones who resist, the ones who push back, ignore you, or try to twist your words, they were only comfortable with you when they could control you. And that's not a relationship, it's a one-sided power game. If you keep visiting the homes of people who constantly cross the line, you send your body and your mind the wrong message. You teach yourself to endure instead of thrive. You put yourself in a space where you're bracing for disrespect, and that tension bleeds into the rest of your life. It affects your mood. It affects how you show up for the people who actually care. And worse, it can make you start doubting your right to set limits in the first place. When someone disrespects your boundaries, what they're really saying is, "My comfort matters more than your dignity." That kind of energy is toxic, especially when you're older and need stability, not chaos. You've paid your dues. You've been there for others. This stage of your life should be about choosing joy, not tolerating disrespect. It's okay to say, "I'm not coming over anymore because I don't feel respected there." You don't have to yell. You don't have to explain it 10 different ways. You're allowed to make choices based on how environments make you feel. And if being in someone's home means constantly defending yourself, it's time to stop showing up. Start giving your time to people who honor your boundaries without making it a big deal. Build your routine around spaces that support your peace. Spend more moments doing things that align with your values. Whether that's quiet mornings, walking outdoors, reading, or connecting with people who make you feel safe. Those are the things that truly nourish you. You don't need loud chaos to feel alive. You don't need to be constantly defending your space to feel important. What you need is calm, clarity, and connection with people who see you for who you are now, not just who you were in the past. People who respect the changes you've made. People who meet you where you are and treat your boundaries like they matter. The longer you allow people to cross your lines, the harder it becomes to reconnect with yourself. And the most dangerous thing about that, you start to forget what peace really feels like. You start to believe that constant discomfort is normal, that being drained is just part of life. It's not. You don't have to earn the right to be respected. You already deserve that. The question is whether you're willing to remove yourself from spaces where that respect doesn't exist. When you stop going to homes where your boundaries are ignored, you don't just protect yourself, you empower yourself. You send a clear message: I am worth honoring. I am done settling. I am choosing myself. That decision may upset some people, but the ones who truly care about you, they'll adjust, they'll learn, or they'll fade out of your life. And that's okay too. Sometimes peace requires distance, and that distance, it gives you the room to grow, to breathe, to thrive. Protecting your boundaries isn't about pushing people away. It's about keeping yourself whole. And if someone can't respect the space you've asked for, they shouldn't have access to it. Your energy, your time, your presence, it's a gift. Don't keep offering it where it gets taken for granted. Your health, your clarity, and your peace matter more than keeping old habits alive. It's time to stop walking into spaces that make you feel like you have to fight for your voice. You've come too far to go back to that. You're not difficult. You're not too sensitive. You're someone who finally understands that boundaries are a form of self-love. And there's nothing more powerful than someone who chooses to protect that. Number 3, protect your peace from people who gossip nonstop. As you get older, you realize how much peace is worth. You stop chasing approval. You stop needing to be everywhere or with everyone. What you value most is feeling grounded, calm, and connected to what truly matters. And one of the biggest threats to that peace, people who can't stop gossiping. It doesn't matter how free your time is or how close you think you are to them. If their world revolves around tearing others down, it's not a place you need to keep visiting. Gossip may seem harmless on the surface. Some people even treat it like entertainment. They'll start with, "Did you hear what happened?" Or, "I probably shouldn't say this, but..." And before you know it, you're stuck in a web of information you never asked for. But what many don't realize is that constant gossip poisons the atmosphere. It changes the energy in the room. It turns your attention away from your goals and values and pulls you into conversations that leave you feeling uneasy. You might think you're just being polite by listening. You might tell yourself it's not a big deal, but over time, being around that kind of talk affects you more than you know. It puts your mind on edge. It makes you more judgmental. It trains you to look for flaws instead of growth. And worst of all, it keeps your focus on other people's lives instead of your own. When someone gossips all the time, it tells you something important. It shows they are more interested in what others are doing wrong than in what they need to improve in themselves. That mindset isn't just toxic, it's contagious. And if you spend enough time in that environment, you start to internalize that way of thinking without even realizing it. You'll find yourself becoming suspicious of people who haven't done anything to you. You'll second-guess your trust in friends. You'll start to believe that everyone talks behind everyone's back. And slowly you lose the simple joy of just being around others without feeling like everything is a performance. That's what nonstop gossip does. It creates a world where no one feels safe to be fully themselves. You've reached a point in life where peace isn't just nice to have, it's necessary. It keeps your blood pressure down. It helps your mind stay clear. It allows you to sleep better at night and wake up with a stronger sense of purpose. And if being around certain people means always hearing about who did what, who failed, who messed up, or who's being judged, that's not peace, it's noise. Some people use gossip to bond. They think talking about someone else brings them closer to you. But real connection doesn't require stepping on someone else's dignity. It doesn't require filling the air with rumors or assumptions. True connection comes from shared values, honesty, and mutual respect, not from throwing someone under the bus for a few laughs or to feel superior. There's also a hard truth people don't like to admit. If they gossip to you, they will gossip about you. It's only a matter of time. If someone has no problem talking badly about others behind closed doors, they won't suddenly grow a conscience when it comes to your name. You may think you're safe, but that's rarely the case. And do you really want to be around people who smile in your face and tear you down the moment you leave? You've worked too hard on your mindset to let it get polluted by conversations that serve no purpose. The energy in your environment either builds you up or wears you down. And the constant drama of who's doing what wrong, who said what behind whose back, it's mentally exhausting. Even if you're not the one spreading it, just being in the room can leave you feeling tired and off balance. It's okay to remove yourself from those spaces. You don't owe anyone your attention if all they want to do is fill your ears with judgment and criticism. You can still be kind, you can still be respectful, but you don't have to keep walking into homes where gossip is the main language spoken. You deserve better conversations. You deserve relationships that leave you feeling uplifted, not suspicious or drained. Choosing peace means choosing your mental and emotional health. It means spending your time with people who talk about ideas, goals, experiences, not just other people's failures. It means having space to talk about what you're working on, what's helping you grow, what you're struggling with in a way that invites support, not judgment. If someone can't offer that, they don't need to be part of your regular life. And no, you don't have to make a big announcement or cut people off with drama. You just stop showing up so often. You create space. You spend your time in healthier environments. You surround yourself with people who protect the energy in the room, not poison it. People who bring calm, not chaos. Who choose truth over entertainment. That shift in who you spend time with will transform the way you feel on a daily basis. You've got goals even now. You want to stay sharp. You want to feel good. You want to live with meaning. None of that happens if your energy is caught up in other people's drama. You have better things to do than listen to people dissect lives they don't fully understand. You have real conversations to be part of, real growth to focus on. You don't have time to waste on small talk that hurts other people. When you walk into someone's space and all they want to do is gossip, that's not a safe environment for growth. It might be familiar, it might feel comfortable, but that doesn't make it good for you. At some point you have to choose what matters more. Staying connected to people out of habit or protecting your energy so you can live in alignment with who you are now. Peace isn't about isolation, it's about intention. It's about filling your time with people and activities that add meaning to your days. It's about choosing environments where you can be open without worrying that your words will be twisted, where you can speak about your dreams or your struggles without them becoming fuel for someone else's gossip. You have every right to avoid homes where gossip is the culture. You have every right to distance yourself from people who thrive on other people's pain. That decision won't always be easy. Some people might not understand, but you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for your peace, for your sanity, for the clarity you need to keep living on your own terms. And when you make that choice, you'll notice the difference almost immediately. Your mind will feel lighter. You'll have more space for your own thoughts. Your conversations will go deeper. Your energy will last longer. And you'll feel more grounded in the person you've become. You've earned a life that feels safe and authentic. You don't need to keep showing up in places that rob you of that. So if the gossip never ends, if the conversations always circle back to tearing others down, it's time to step away. Spend time with people who focus on growth, who celebrate progress, who speak honestly but kindly, who know how to hold a conversation without hurting someone else. That's the kind of energy you need to surround yourself with if you want to stay clear-minded and emotionally strong. Your peace is not a luxury. It's your foundation. Protect it like your life depends on it, because the truth is, in many ways, it does. Number 4. Walk away from homes filled with negative energy. Your sensitivity to energy becomes sharper. You start noticing how certain spaces leave you feeling heavy, tense, or emotionally off balance. It's not always about the words being said. Sometimes it's the tone, the looks, the silence, or the overall feeling that something isn't right. That's what negative energy does. It speaks without sound. And if you walk into a home and your whole body tenses up, don't ignore that feeling. You owe it to yourself to walk away from any place that robs you of your peace. You can tell when a space is filled with negativity. The air feels dense. The people don't smile with warmth. They scan, they judge, they hold grudges. There's no lightness in the conversation, only criticism, complaints, or bitterness. Maybe they speak in a cold tone, or constantly highlight what's wrong with the world, their life, or other people. You sit there hoping for the moment to pass quickly. That's not comfort. That's your inner guidance telling you to leave. You've been through too much in life to willingly sit in that kind of atmosphere. You've earned the right to choose spaces that feel emotionally safe. And if someone's home always leaves you feeling mentally drained or emotionally unsettled, it doesn't matter how close they are or how often they invite you over. You don't have to keep showing up. It's not about being dramatic. It's about protecting your mental and emotional health. Negative energy has a real impact. It seeps into your mind and makes you feel anxious without knowing why. It raises your stress levels, affects your sleep, and pulls your focus away from the things that truly matter. Over time, it wears down your resilience, especially if you're constantly exposing yourself to it. Think about the times you've walked away from a visit and felt worse than when you arrived. Maybe your chest felt tight, your head ached, or you just felt off for hours afterward. That wasn't random. That was your body reacting to a space it didn't feel safe in. Energy is real. And when you step into a place filled with unresolved tension, bitterness, or unspoken hostility, your mind and body pick up on it, even if no one says a word. Some homes carry years of resentment. Maybe it's between the people who live there. Maybe it's in the way they talk about life, always expecting the worst, or maybe it's the way you're treated when you arrive, as if you're being judged instead of welcomed. That kind of environment is not where you need to spend your precious time. You are not obligated to keep revisiting places that drain your spirit just to avoid discomfort or guilt. You have a choice now. You can choose the kind of energy you allow into your life. And walking away from negative environments is one of the strongest, healthiest choices you can make for yourself. You're not being selfish, you're being wise. Because every time you sit in a space that feels toxic, you absorb a little more of what's not yours to carry. You deserve to be in places where you can breathe fully, where your presence is appreciated, not tolerated, where conversations bring perspective, not pressure, where you feel lighter after being there, not heavier. That's the kind of energy you need to keep your spirit strong and your mind clear. When you continue visiting homes filled with negativity, you put your well-being on the line. You carry that tension with you when you leave. It spills into your other relationships. It affects your ability to concentrate. It clouds your ability to enjoy the present. And all of this adds up to one thing: your peace getting chipped away, one visit at a time. You've lived long enough to know that not every door deserves to be walked through. You don't need to keep revisiting places just because you've always gone there. You don't need to keep people in your routine if their presence constantly drags you into a low state. You can wish them well and still choose not to be around the energy they carry. Sometimes the hardest spaces to walk away from are the familiar ones. Maybe it's a relative's house or a longtime friend. But if you leave that place feeling emotionally bruised every time, ask yourself, is it worth the cost? You can only give so much before your own emotional reserves start to run low. Protecting your energy isn't being distant, it's being responsible. Start being more selective with your time. Spend more of it in environments that nourish your well-being. That might mean smaller gatherings or different company altogether. It could mean inviting people into your space instead, where you control the atmosphere. It could mean spending more time alone, with things that restore your spirit instead of shaking it. Your peace is not something you should compromise, especially not now. You've earned a life that feels stable and secure, and any place that constantly shakes that foundation doesn't deserve your presence. You're not obligated to absorb someone else's pain, frustration, or negativity just to keep the connection going. It's okay to outgrow spaces. It's okay to stop going to homes that feel emotionally heavy. It doesn't make you heartless. It makes you honest about what you need now. And what you need now is peace, clarity, and emotional safety. You are not responsible for fixing the energy in someone else's home. You are only responsible for protecting what you bring into the world. If a place constantly brings you down, makes you question yourself, or leaves you emotionally tense, it's time to put your peace first. Not every house is a home, and not every gathering deserves your energy. Some spaces are just not aligned with your growth. The best thing you can do is recognize that early and take a step back. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to explain it. Just create distance and give yourself space to breathe again. The more you protect your peace, the more it grows. The more space you give yourself from negativity, the more clarity you find. You begin to focus more on the things that lift you up, the people who speak life into you, and the routines that support your emotional and physical health. Your energy is limited. Use it wisely. Don't waste it trying to be comfortable in uncomfortable spaces. Don't sacrifice your inner calm just to keep a routine alive. Your time is too precious. Your emotional balance is too important. Walk away from homes that always carry tension, bitterness, or unresolved hostility. Walk away from spaces that never feel light. No matter how long you stay, walk away from environments that make you feel like you have to protect yourself just to sit on the couch, and walk toward the life you actually want. One built on peace, emotional clarity, kindness, and honesty. A life that doesn't require constant recovery from toxic environments. A life where your spirit is respected, not weighed down. You deserve to feel safe. You deserve to feel seen. And you deserve to spend your days in spaces that feel good to your soul. Keep that standard high, protect it fiercely, and don't apologize for choosing peace over familiarity. You've earned the right to walk away and to never look back. Number 5. Guard your time from those who never value it. Time is one of the few things you can never get back. Once it's gone, it's gone. As you grow older, you start to see that more clearly. You don't want to waste days recovering from stress that wasn't yours. You don't want to spend hours in places that make you feel unseen or unimportant. And more than anything, you don't want to give your time to people who don't respect it. Your time has value. It's not something to be tossed around or taken for granted. It's your life in minutes, and it deserves to be guarded with care. You can love people. you can support them. But if someone constantly disrespects your time, by showing up late, changing plans last minute, or expecting you to drop everything when it's convenient for them, they are showing you how little they value your presence. That's not something to ignore. Because someone who doesn't respect your time rarely respects your boundaries, your priorities, or your growth either. When you give your time to someone, you're giving them a piece of your life you'll never get back. That should never be taken lightly. But some people treat it like it's nothing. They cancel at the last second without apology. They talk endlessly without listening. They expect you to rearrange your schedule because they didn't plan theirs. And over time, that behavior adds up. It wears you down. It makes you feel like your own time doesn't matter. People who don't value your time will keep asking for more of it. They'll expect you to be available at all times. They'll guilt you for saying no. They'll make you feel like you're being difficult when you ask for clarity or commitment. And if you allow that behavior to continue, you end up living on someone else's terms, not your own. You've reached a stage in life where you have to be intentional with how you spend each day. Every hour should bring you closer to something that matters. Peace, purpose, health, connection, or rest. And if being around someone always leaves you feeling like your time was wasted, you have to start asking yourself why you keep showing up. There are people who only call when they need something, who only reach out when they want to talk about themselves, who only invite you over when they're bored or need a distraction. They don't care if you had other plans. They don't ask if now is a good time. They just assume you'll make room for them. And the truth is, the more you allow that, the more they believe it's normal. But you've grown past that. You understand how quickly life moves. You've seen how fast time disappears when you're not paying attention. And now, you want your days to count. You want your hours to matter. You want the people in your life to value your presence, not use it. Guarding your time doesn't make you selfish. It makes you conscious. It means you understand that every commitment, every meeting, every conversation costs you something. And if it costs your peace, your health, or your goals, it's too expensive. There's no shame in saying no to last-minute requests. There's no guilt in not answering a call when you're resting, working, or focused. You're not required to be available just because someone demands it. You get to decide how your time is spent, and the more you own that, the more powerful your life becomes. People who truly value your time show up on time. They check in before making plans. Check in before making plans. They honor the moments you give them. They don't take your presence for granted. They see your time as a gift, not a resource to drain. Those are the people you want in your life. The ones who don't value your time will always expect you to bend. They'll always act surprised when you set limits. But you're not here to live in someone else's chaos. You've worked too hard to find your rhythm. You've fought through distractions and setbacks to create something stable. Don't let anyone pull you back into disorder just because they refuse to respect your schedule. Your time is a boundary. And if someone can't respect that, they don't respect you. It's not about being harsh. It's about being real. Check in. Life is too short to keep saying yes to people who don't even see the cost of what they're asking for. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to justify why you protect your time. You only need to start doing it, because the more time you give to people who waste it, the less time you have for what actually matters. Your health, your dreams, your relationships, your peace. There will always be people who feel entitled to your time. But just because they want it doesn't mean they deserve it. Just because they ask for it doesn't mean you owe it. And just because you've given it in the past doesn't mean you have to keep doing so in the future. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to grow, and you are absolutely allowed to be unavailable to those who drain your energy, ignore your needs, or make you feel guilty for having a life of your own. Choose to be around people who appreciate your presence, who treat your time with care, who show up with intention, not just when it's convenient. That kind of respect builds deeper relationships, stronger trust, and better conversations. There's a quiet confidence in being able to say, "I'm not available for that." It doesn't need to come with a reason. It just needs to be said with clarity. And the more you practice it, the easier it becomes to protect your time without apology. You don't owe your availability to anyone who refuses to value it. Spend your time with people who bring something meaningful to your life, who understand that time is a limited resource, who don't try to control your schedule or manipulate your space. Those people will lift you, not drain you. This is your life. Those are your hours. You decide how they're used. Don't keep giving them to people who only take. Don't keep visiting homes where your presence is treated like an afterthought. Don't keep allowing people to waste your time and then expect you to thank them for it. You know what your priorities are now. You know what kind of life you're building. Don't trade that focus just to keep others comfortable. Every time you guard your time, you're honoring the life you want to live. You're staying loyal to your peace. You're building a future with more clarity, less stress, and deeper fulfillment. The more you protect your time, the more you protect your energy. The stronger your mind becomes. And with a strong mind, you make better decisions, build better habits, and stay aligned with the person you're becoming. Your time is not a loan. It's not a favor. It's not a burden. It's your most valuable asset. Treat it like that. Walk away from those who never treat it with the respect it deserves. Because once it's spent, it's gone, and you deserve to spend it on what truly matters. Number 6. Stop visiting those who only call when they need. As you get older, your circle naturally becomes smaller. And that's not a bad thing. You begin to see people for who they are, not just how long you've known them. You notice patterns that used to slip by unnoticed. One of the most revealing patterns is this. Some people only reach out when they need something. They don't check on you. They don't include you in their joy. They don't invite you over just to connect. The only time you hear from them is when there's a favor involved, a crisis brewing, or a need they expect you to fill. And over time, that kind of connection stops feeling like friendship. It starts feeling like being used. It's not always obvious at first. Sometimes they come with a smile and charm, but beneath the surface, there's always a purpose. They don't call to ask how you are. They call to ask what you can do. They don't drop by to spend time. They show up with an agenda. You offer your time, your care, your help, and in return, you're treated like a convenience, not a person. When someone only makes space for you when it benefits them, you start to feel invisible in all the moments that actually matter. Your presence becomes a tool. Your kindness gets treated like a transaction. And no matter how much you've given in the past, the next time they reach out, it's like none of it ever counted. You're expected to show up again. No questions asked. You deserve more than that. Relationships are meant to be mutual, not one-sided. They should feel like support, not obligation. They should be based on care, not convenience. If someone only remembers you when their life is falling apart, that's not connection, that's extraction. And the longer you accept that dynamic, the more they'll keep repeating it. There's a certain kind of emotional exhaustion that comes from dealing with people who only show up when they want something. It chips away at your energy. It makes you doubt your own worth. It makes you question whether people actually care or just rely on you out of habit. That's not how you're meant to live. You shouldn't have to earn your place in someone's life by constantly solving their problems. As you move into a wiser, more intentional stage of life, one of the healthiest decisions you can make is to stop going out of your way for people who never meet you halfway. You can care about someone and still create distance. You can wish them well and still choose not to show up every time they call. That's not being cold. It's being clear about your own value. You've spent too many years putting others first without thinking about the cost to yourself. Now it's time to protect your time, your peace, and your energy from being taken for granted. Being kind doesn't mean being available on demand. Being compassionate doesn't mean being a backup plan. You'll notice that some people only start missing you when they realize you're no longer as easy to access. Suddenly they'll try to pull you back in, using guilt or flattery or nostalgia. They'll remind you of all the good times, of how long you've known each other, or how much they appreciate you. But if appreciation only shows up when they need a favor, it's not real. Real appreciation is consistent. It shows up even when there's nothing to gain. Healthy relationships don't need to be constant, but they do need to be mutual. You shouldn't have to wonder whether you're valued outside of what you can offer. You shouldn't feel like your presence is only welcome when it's convenient for someone else. If they can't find time for you in the good times, you shouldn't have to rescue them in the bad ones. It's okay to say no. It's okay to take a step back. It's okay to stop visiting the homes of people who only think of you when they're in need. You're not abandoning anyone. You're choosing to respect yourself. You're choosing to give your time and care to those who actually see you, not just what you can do for them. This doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It means being more discerning. It means recognizing who truly adds to your life and who just takes from it. You've been supportive. You've been patient. But now it's time to invest that same support and patience into yourself. Start paying attention to who checks on you when they don't need anything. Who calls just to say hello. Who remembers the things you care about. Those are the people worth keeping close. And if someone disappears until they have a problem, stop rushing to be the solution. You can be kind without being used. You can be helpful without being taken advantage of. You can be generous without being treated like a resource. And once you understand that, your relationships start to change. They become healthier, more balanced, and more real. Your time is limited. Your energy is sacred. You're not here to be at everyone's beck and call. You're here to live with purpose, with presence, and with peace. And that peace starts with knowing you're surrounded by people who value you for who you are, not just what you give. Walking away from one-sided connections might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've played the role of the helper your whole life. But over time, you'll feel the difference. You'll feel lighter, clearer, more in control of your own path. And that clarity will guide you to better choices, deeper relationships, and a stronger sense of self-worth. You've given enough to people who only call when they need something. You've been there enough times. Now be there for yourself. Prioritize the relationships that make you feel seen, respected, and appreciated. Walk away from the ones that don't. This is your time. Make it count. Spend it with people who show up for you because they want to, not because they need to. Build a life that's surrounded by love, not obligation, by care, not convenience, and by genuine connection, not transactional closeness. The people who truly care won't wait until they need something to reach out. They'll show up even when there's nothing to ask for. They'll invite you in not because they need your help, but because they enjoy your company. That's the energy you want in your life now. That's what your peace needs, and that's what you deserve. Number 7, distance yourself from people who mock your growth. You begin taking your health seriously. You focus more on peace than noise. You let go of habits that once gave you comfort but held you back. You speak with more honesty, set better boundaries, and choose growth over staying comfortable. And as you step into that version of yourself, something unexpected happens. Not everyone claps for you. Some people laugh. Some mock it. Some make little comments, jokes, or jabs that sound harmless, but cut deep. They call it just teasing, but it doesn't feel like love. It feels like resistance. And if you're not careful, their mockery can make you question yourself. You start working out more often, and here, you're getting obsessed now. You pass on the junk food and someone says, "Come on, live a little." You stop oversharing and people say, "You've changed." You choose solitude to recharge. And someone says, "What's wrong with you lately?" These are the subtle ways people resist your growth. It might not come in loud, obvious ways. It often comes in these small, sarcastic remarks designed to make you feel like your evolution is a problem. People who mock your growth are often the ones who feel challenged by it. Your progress reminds them of the work they haven't done. Your discipline highlights their excuses. Your self-awareness brings their denial to the surface. So instead of meeting your growth with encouragement, they meet it with criticism. It's easier for them to laugh at your progress than to look in the mirror and question their own choices. You're not meant to stay the same forever. What once served you might now hold you back. Growth means shedding old skin, old patterns, and sometimes old people too. And if someone in your life can't handle the new version of you, the one who thinks deeper, lives cleaner, speaks more clearly, it's not your responsibility to shrink back. It's your responsibility to keep going. It's painful when people you care about start making you feel small for trying to do better. It might be an old friend who used to be your partner in crime for all the bad habits. It might be a family member who always knew the old you and struggles to accept who you're becoming. It might even be someone you looked up to, but if they can't respect your progress, they don't deserve a front row seat in your journey. There is nothing arrogant about wanting to improve. There's nothing wrong with choosing healing, peace, clarity, or discipline. You're not acting better than anyone when you choose a path that brings you more joy and stability. You're simply making a choice they haven't made yet, and some people won't like that. You can try to explain yourself hoping they'll understand. But truthfully, someone who mocks your growth isn't looking to understand. They're looking to pull you back to where you were, because that's where they feel most comfortable. That version of you, the one who laughed at everything, avoided change, said yes to everything, didn't ask for more, is the version that made them feel safe. But that version of you wasn't happy. That version was surviving, not thriving. Now you're asking for more. You're setting standards. You're choosing a lifestyle that reflects your values, not your fears. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're trying to live with purpose. And if someone sees that as a threat instead of an inspiration, it's time to ask yourself why they're still in your space. You don't need people around you who only like you when you're down, distracted, or stuck. You need people who cheer for you when you rise. People who understand that growth is messy but worth it. People who don't flinch when you speak with clarity. Who don't feel intimidated when you take your health seriously. Who don't feel left behind when you focus on healing instead of drama. The older you get, the more important this becomes. You don't have time to keep apologizing for growing. You don't have energy to waste on people who mock the very things that are saving your life. You don't need to prove anything to anyone who doesn't see your worth. You've already paid the price for your progress. It cost you comfort, relationships, sleep, and years of trial and error. Anyone who laughs at that process doesn't understand its value. Protect your peace from those who try to shame it. Protect your choices from those who only accept you when you're easy to control. You didn't come this far to be mocked into going backwards. And just because someone is in your past doesn't mean they deserve a place in your future. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away from people who don't clap when you win. Not everyone deserves access to the upgraded version of you. Growth reveals who's really on your side. And if someone can't support your healing, your strength, your transformation, they've made their role in your life very clear. You deserve to be around people who take your growth seriously, who ask how you're doing and actually listen, who offer support, not sarcasm, who encourage you to keep evolving even when it's inconvenient for them. These are the people who add real value to your life. And once you find them, you won't feel the need to explain your journey anymore. The truth is, some people will always prefer the version of you who needed them, the version who didn't know better. But that's not your problem to fix. Your job is to keep growing, keep healing, keep learning, and stay true to yourself through it all. You're not too serious. You're not too distant. You're not too ambitious. You're focused. You're learning. You're evolving. And you deserve to be around people who get that. Don't let anyone's mockery make you question the path you're on. The people who laugh at growth are often the ones too afraid to pursue their own. You've worked hard to get here. You've had to break old habits, face uncomfortable truths, and step into unfamiliar territory. That takes courage. That takes self-respect. That takes strength. Don't let anyone's shallow comments shake that foundation. You know who you're becoming, and you're not doing it to impress anyone. You're doing it to live with integrity, with clarity, with peace. Your growth is not a joke. It's not a phase. It's not a trend. It's your choice, and it deserves to be protected. Walk away from homes where your healing is mocked. Stop visiting people who make fun of your focus. Distance yourself from anyone who tries to reduce your evolution to a punchline. Your life is too valuable for that. Your time is too precious. Your peace is too important. Spend your days with those who see your effort, who admire your discipline, who celebrate your changes even when they don't fully understand them. Surround yourself with people who want to grow alongside you, not hold you back. You didn't come this far to explain your worth. You came this far to live it. Keep rising, keep growing, and keep your distance from anyone who makes that feel like a problem, because your growth is not the issue. Their discomfort with it is, and that's not your burden to carry anymore. Number 8. Refuse to go where your voice is silenced. As you grow older, your voice becomes more than just sound. It becomes your story, your truth, your identity. It reflects the lessons you've learned, the values you hold, the strength you've built, and the clarity you've gained. And there's nothing more damaging to your emotional health than being in a place where that voice is ignored, dismissed, or outright silenced. Being around people who treat your thoughts as interruptions, who overlook your words, or who make you feel invisible when you speak, is not just disrespectful, it's deeply harmful. Because your voice isn't just about being heard, it's about being seen, understood, and valued. You've spent years building the confidence to speak up. Maybe once you held back, unsure if your words were good enough. Maybe you used to stay quiet in rooms that made you feel small. But life taught you the hard way that silence isn't always peace. Staying quiet to keep others comfortable slowly breaks your spirit. And once you've found your voice, once you've fought to speak with courage, you can't keep walking into rooms that try to take that away from you. Some places aren't loud with conflict, they're silent with dismissal. You share an idea and no one listens. You offer an opinion and it's ignored, only to hear someone else repeat it moments later and get praised. You try to express your needs and they're brushed aside, made to feel like a burden. These things might not look like abuse, but over time they chip away at your self-worth. They make you second-guess your thoughts. They make you believe your voice doesn't matter. The truth is, your voice reveals who you are. It's shaped by every experience you've had, every boundary you've set, every mistake you've owned, and every dream you've held on to. When you speak from that place, it deserves to be met with respect, not with condescension, not with silence, not with forced politeness that barely hides the disregard behind it. Your voice isn't too much. It's not too strong. It's not too honest. It's real, and it deserves real space. You have every right to walk away from places where your voice is treated like noise, from people who only want to be heard but never want to listen, from homes where certain opinions are allowed, but yours never make the cut, from situations where your value is only recognized when you stay silent and agreeable. That is not connection. That is control dressed as comfort. And the longer you stay in that space, the more you shrink in ways that no one sees but you feel every single day. The cost of silence in those environments isn't just emotional, it's physical too. When you can't express yourself freely, your body holds on to that stress. You feel it in your chest, your stomach, your shoulders. It lingers in your nervous system, keeping you in a constant state of tension. You might not notice it right away, but over time it shows up as exhaustion, restlessness, and even chronic health issues. That's what happens when your truth is forced into silence. It starts speaking through your body. It's not about being loud or dominant. It's about being allowed to exist fully. Your voice brings balance to relationships. It brings honesty to conversations. It brings perspective to moments that need depth. And when that is not welcome, it's a sign that your presence is only valued under conditions. Conditions that serve others while silencing you. That's not love. That's not support. That's not respect. It's control. And control is often disguised. It can come from people who say they care, who say things like "I'm just trying to help," while undermining your words, who interrupt you, not because they're curious, but because they've already decided your thoughts don't matter, who say you're too sensitive when you ask to be heard, who constantly redirect the conversation back to themselves. These people don't want dialogue. They want dominance. They want the comfort of being the only voice that matters. You're not wrong for needing to be heard. You're not asking for too much by wanting space where you can speak without fear of being dismissed or ridiculed. Healthy environments are built on mutual respect. They leave room for different views. They welcome vulnerability. They don't silence discomfort. They make space for it. So real understanding can grow. And if someone in your life can't offer that, then you need to reconsider what role they play. As you age, your peace becomes sacred. You stop chasing approval and start choosing presence. And presence means being around people who see you, hear you, and value what you bring. You no longer have time to be edited, censored, or tolerated. You deserve to be welcomed, fully, authentically, without conditions. Think about the times you've left a conversation feeling drained, not because of what was said, but because of what wasn't allowed to be said. The things you held in, the feelings you suppressed, the truths you watered down just to keep the peace. That kind of peace isn't real. It's self-abandonment. And every time you do it, a small part of you disappears. Healing starts when you stop doing that, when you stop shrinking yourself to fit in, when you stop quieting your voice so others can feel louder, when you stop pretending that being ignored doesn't hurt. You were not born to be invisible. You were not meant to stay silent to make others feel more comfortable in their smallness. You are here to be heard, and not just by others, but by yourself. Because your voice isn't just for communication, it's a mirror. It reflects who you are and where you're going. If you silence it, you lose direction. When you're in a room where you have to constantly prove the value of your voice, that's not a room worth staying in. You need people who lean in when you speak, not people who look away. People who ask questions to understand, not to dismiss. People who may not always agree with you, but still make space for your truth. That's what real connection looks like. That's what real love feels like. Some of the deepest pain doesn't come from being shouted at. It comes from being overlooked, from being made to feel like your voice is an inconvenience. Over time, that creates emotional wounds that are hard to name, but deeply felt. The good news is, you don't have to stay in that place. You don't have to keep showing up where your silence is more appreciated than your truth. You can choose better. You can build a life around people who lift your voice, not mute it. The relationships that bring the most peace are the ones where you don't feel the need to explain your worth, where your voice is not just tolerated but valued, where you can speak freely without preparing to defend yourself, where you are listened to with the same respect you offer others. Those relationships heal you. They allow you to grow. They create a safe space where your full self can show up without hesitation. You owe it to yourself to create that kind of space, not just in your home, but in every part of your life, in your friendships, in your partnerships, in your work, in your community. Anywhere your voice matters, your peace will follow, and anywhere it doesn't, your peace will suffer. So pay attention. Pay attention to how people respond when you speak your truth. Pay attention to who listens and who tunes out. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time in certain homes or around certain people. Your body knows. Your mind knows. Trust that. And if the cost of visiting someone's space is silencing your own voice, that cost is too high. Your voice is your freedom. And freedom isn't just about doing what you want. It's about being who you are. Completely, boldly, without apology. And that starts by refusing to enter any space where your voice has no place. Because once you stop showing up in those places, something powerful happens. You start finding spaces that feel right. People who listen with their whole heart. Conversations that don't drain you, but energize you. Environments that remind you you're not alone. This is how you protect your mental health. This is how you protect your emotional well-being. This is how you create a life that respects your growth, your boundaries, and your truth. You stop giving your presence to places where your voice is silenced. You honor yourself enough to say no to what diminishes you, and you choose again and again to stand fully in who you are, loud and clear. Number 9. Avoid places where your health feels at risk. Your health becomes your most valuable form of independence. It's not just about avoiding sickness, it's about protecting your energy, your balance, your mobility, your state of mind, and your ability to feel at ease in your own body. That's why you need to pay close attention to the environments you walk into, especially those that pull you down or make your body react in ways you can't ignore. You need to become unapologetic about walking away from places that feel like a threat to your well-being, even if they seem familiar, friendly, or tied to your past. If your body doesn't feel safe there, if your mind feels unsettled, or if your spirit feels drained, you have every right to stop showing up. Health isn't just shaped by what you eat or how much you move. It's deeply influenced by your environment. There are homes filled with tension, chaos, neglect, or toxic habits that can trigger your nervous system, raise your blood pressure, mess with your sleep, or leave you feeling emotionally rattled long after you've left. Maybe it's a relative's house where people smoke inside even though they know you've had lung issues. Maybe it's a place where you're served food that goes against your health needs, but you feel pressured to eat it so you don't come off as rude. Maybe it's somewhere full of loud arguments or drama, and even though you try to stay calm, your heart races every time you visit. These are not small things. Your body is trying to protect you, and when you ignore it, you're the one who pays. There's a silent kind of stress that builds up when you spend time in unhealthy environments. It wears down your immune system. It increases your risk of chronic conditions. It affects your appetite, your digestion, your mood, and even how well your brain functions. If you find yourself leaving a certain place with a headache, tight shoulders, shallow breathing, or a deep feeling of fatigue, you're not imagining it. Your health is reacting. And over time, those reactions become patterns. Those patterns become problems. And those problems can steal your freedom. One unnoticed symptom at a time. You owe it to yourself to trust what your body is telling you. If walking into someone's home immediately makes you feel tense, that's not a coincidence. If you start breathing differently, speaking less, or counting the minutes until you can leave, that's a warning. When you feel unsafe, even in small and subtle ways, it means your body is preparing to protect you from something, even if it's not clear what it is right away. And that's reason enough to rethink whether that place deserves your presence. Some people will guilt you for this. They'll say you're being overly sensitive, dramatic, or selfish. They'll try to remind you of how close you once were, or how important they think the relationship is. But they're not the ones living in your skin. They don't feel what you feel, and they don't deal with the effects afterward. When your sleep is off, your energy is low, or your mental clarity is clouded. You're the one who has to manage the impact. And that's why you get to choose where you go and who you give your time to. Sometimes the problem isn't the people themselves. It's the environment they've created. Maybe their home is physically unclean, or full of allergens, or so chaotic that you can't relax for even a few minutes. Maybe there's constant noise, clutter, or tension in the air that keeps your system on edge. Maybe there's no regard for your personal space, your dietary needs, or your health boundaries. And over time, these things become too much to carry. You might feel like it's your duty to keep going, especially if it's family, or someone who used to be close to you. But your health is not something you should sacrifice to make other people feel better. You can care about someone and still choose not to be in their home. You can value a relationship and still place limits on how and where that relationship happens. That's not rejection. That's self-respect. That's self-care. That's what long-term wellness requires. It's also important to look at what certain homes encourage. Are there unhealthy habits constantly being pushed your way? Are you being pressured to drink, eat poorly, stay up late, or skip your regular routines? Are people mocking your healthy lifestyle, or making you feel like you're overdoing it just because you want to take care of yourself? These are not small concerns. The more you expose yourself to environments that don't align with your goals, the harder it becomes to stay on track. You shouldn't have to fight to maintain your health just because of where you are. And let's be honest, emotional health is just as critical. Some homes may not be physically dangerous, but they carry emotional weight. You walk in and feel judged. You feel compared to others. You feel like your past is constantly thrown in your face. You feel like you can't breathe without being criticized or questioned. Few feelings matter. Chronic emotional stress is linked to heart disease, memory loss, immune dysfunction, and depression. You feel these if you can tough it out and pretend everything's fine. You feel stay, your body keeps the score. You've worked too hard to stay strong, balanced, and focused just to throw it all away for the sake of appearances. You need to build your life around environments that help you breathe easier, not harder. Around people who care enough to ask what makes you comfortable. Around homes where your needs are respected, not dismissed. Around energy that calms you, not chaos that keeps you tense. These places exist. These people exist. But you can't find them if you keep spending your energy on places that wear you down. If someone truly cares about you, they will want you to feel safe in their presence. They will understand if you need to meet elsewhere. They will respect your health choices, your boundaries, and your reasons for being cautious. But if they guilt you, pressure you, or mock you for putting your health first, they will lägga när feels convenient. För the människor. They will lägga när feels convenient. They will lägga när feels convenient. They will lägga när feels convenient. But tenor dults Psalm 2 stands. No one else will protect it the way you must. That means making uncomfortable decisions. Cheesebay will leg and it feels convenient. Cheesebay will leg and it feels convenient. Some to center dults de tenor dults de tenor dults de tenor dults bomb two stens. Cheesebay will leg and it feels. Cheesebay will leg and it feels convenient. Someone who refuses to lose what they've worked so hard to maintain. There comes a time when you have to stop prioritizing tradition, guilt, or appearances over your well-being. Cheesebay will leg and it feels convenient. Some to center dults de tenor dults. Cheesebay will leg and it feels mais convenient. Cheesebay will leg and it feels mais convenient. Some to center sharik will feel better. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is stay away. Stay in environments that nourish you. Stay connected to routines that support your strength. Stay focused on what helps you wake up clear-headed, grounded, and energized. Cheesebay will leg and it feels in your breathing, your heart rate. Cheesebay will leg and your millis, listen to it. Cheesebay will leg and if something feels off, it probably is. If somewhere makes you feel worse, not better, it's okay to say no. Cheesebay will leg and anyone's permission to take care of yourself. Cheesebay will leg and you millis, guest to your presence, if that access comes at the cost of your health. Cheesebay will leg and if two bees, and as you get older, both become more precious. Every space you enter either helps you thrive or holds you back. The more intentional you are about where you go, the more control you'll have over how you feel and how well you live. Choose spaces that honor your health. Choose people who support your lifestyle. Choose peace over pressure. And above all, trust that your health deserves to come first, every single time. Number 10. Cut ties with people who destroy your confidence. As you grow older, you begin to realize just how important your confidence is. Confidence isn't just a fleeting feeling. It's the foundation of everything you do. It's the fuel that keeps you moving forward. Whether you're working on personal goals, relationships, or simply living your life, it determines how you show up in the world, how you make decisions, and how you face challenges. Without confidence, your ability to live fully and authentically diminishes. That's why it's critical to protect it at all costs. One of the most damaging things that can happen as we age is to remain in relationships that slowly erode our self-belief. We might not realize it right away, but the people we surround ourselves with can either build us up or tear us down. People who constantly undermine your worth, belittle your achievements, or make you feel small are not just difficult to deal with. They are toxic to your confidence. They may act like it's harmless or even disguised as constructive criticism, but their words and actions leave lasting scars on your sense of self. At some point, you have to recognize that those who destroy your confidence are not people who genuinely care about you or your growth. They are people who thrive on control, comparison, or putting others down to elevate themselves. This kind of energy isn't just draining, it's destructive. When you're around people who constantly tear you down, whether it's through harsh words, belittling humor, or pointed criticisms, you start to believe them. You start to believe that maybe you're not enough, maybe you're not capable, or maybe you're not worthy of love and success. The damage may seem subtle at first, but over time it builds up, and the longer you stay in these relationships, the harder it becomes to recognize your own value. Imagine being in a relationship, whether it's with a friend, family member, or partner, where every success you have is met with skepticism, sarcasm, or dismissal, where your dreams are laughed at, your efforts are mocked, and your personality is minimized. How long can you take that before it starts to chip away at your confidence? How many times can you hear that your ideas are stupid or that you're not doing enough before you begin to doubt yourself? How many times can someone make you feel inferior before you start believing it? This kind of environment is toxic, and staying in it is like voluntarily holding yourself back. Every time you let someone destroy your confidence, you are teaching yourself that you're not worthy of respect, appreciation, or trust. You begin to second-guess your abilities and question your potential. This is how self-doubt seeps in, and when it takes hold, it's hard to move forward. If you want to grow and thrive, you must choose to cut ties with people who continue to destroy your confidence. It's not easy, and it's not something you should take lightly, especially if these people are close to you. But your well-being has to come first. Your confidence, your peace, and your future matter more than any relationship that leaves you feeling less than you are. The hardest part is recognizing that these people might not have your best interests at heart, no matter how much they claim to care for you. There's a big difference between someone who offers constructive feedback and someone who simply puts you down for their own amusement or control. Constructive feedback comes from a place of respect. It aims to build you up, not tear you down. It's about helping you improve, not making you feel smaller. When someone genuinely wants to help, they encourage your growth and empower you to take the next steps. They don't hold you back or make you feel incapable. On the other hand, people who destroy your confidence do the exact opposite. They may criticize you for the smallest mistakes, make you feel like you're never good enough, or compare you unfavorably to others. They are quick to point out your flaws, but never offer real support or help you see your strengths. Over time, you internalize their criticism. You begin to doubt your own abilities and start shrinking in response to their constant belittling. This process doesn't happen overnight. It's gradual, like a slow leak in a tire, that eventually causes it to deflate. At first, you may not even notice the impact these people are having on you. You might brush off their comments or try to convince yourself that they don't matter, but eventually, you start to feel the weight. You start to second-guess yourself in situations where you would have once felt confident. You hesitate to take on challenges or step into new opportunities. You start holding back, questioning your worth, and trying to live up to unrealistic standards. The truth is, no one has the right to take away your confidence. Confidence is an internal resource that comes from knowing who you are, believing in your abilities, and having the courage to face whatever comes your way. People who destroy your confidence are stealing that from you, and the more you let them, the more you let them control your life. That's why it's essential to cut ties with them. You can't afford to keep people around who constantly undermine you. You need to be surrounded by people who lift you up, challenge you in healthy ways, and help you believe in yourself more than you did yesterday. Cutting ties doesn't mean you have to hate them. It doesn't mean you need to become bitter or angry. It simply means that you need to protect your peace, your mental health, and your emotional well-being. It's about setting boundaries and prioritizing your own growth over toxic relationships that hold you back. It's okay to outgrow relationships that no longer serve you. It's okay to walk away from people who make you feel less than. It's okay to refuse to accept disrespect, negativity, and manipulation. Your confidence deserves to be nurtured, not destroyed. You deserve to be surrounded by people who believe in you and make you feel like you're capable of achieving great things. When you cut ties with those who destroy your confidence, you make room for relationships that build you up. You invite positive, healthy energy into your life. You surround yourself with people who encourage your dreams, respect your boundaries, and see your worth. These are the people who will help you grow into the person you were always meant to be. Letting go of relationships that undermine you can feel like a loss, but in reality, it's a gain. You gain the freedom to choose your own path without the weight of negativity holding you back. You gain the ability to trust yourself again. You gain the strength to believe in your own potential and create the life you want to live. It's not easy, but cutting ties with people who destroy your confidence is one of the most empowering decisions you can make for your mental, emotional, and physical health. It's a decision that says, I value myself too much to keep allowing this. And in that simple yet powerful act, you reclaim your confidence, your power, and your future. You step into a life where you are free to be who you truly are, confident, capable, and unstoppable.